Welcome to the WP SEO Show, brought to you by SEO Hive, your proactive white label SEO partner. The WP SEO Show is all about talking WordPress and SEO, from optimizations, structures, setups, and plugins. We explore how to make your WordPress website perform better in the search engines. Here are your hosts, Pete Everett and Jeff Patch.
Hello, welcome to the WP SEO Show. I am your co-host Jeff, joined here with my co-host Pete for our 9th episode. This is so exciting. We're almost at 10, which, now I say it out loud doesn't sound all that impressive, but I'm really, really stoked on it.
I know. Well, look, after we get to double figures, the next stop is triple figures, and that's going to be like, that seems like a long way away from here, I'll be honest.
It does, but at the same time, after doing almost 10 of these in a row now, it's like, I can see it happening. And when we recorded the first one, you sent it to me as 000, like the file name. And I'm like, you think we're going to hit 100 episodes? And like, even though we're still under 10, I'm like, I think we will actually. I mean, yeah. At this pace, it's going to take about 2 years, but I do see it actually as a possibility, which is super awesome.
Absolutely. I've future-proofed us all the way to 999, and then we're going to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Figure out what to do. And
for anybody who is just at the edge of your seat wondering, we are working our butts off to get more guitars in the background for you.
Yes. Although I'm out of guitars at this end, but I do have a djembe and a trumpet, so I might try and get those to feature in future episodes.
I actually do have a junky guitar in the closet, a ukulele in the other room. We could decorate the wall. We'll work on it for you. What's up? I think it was Paul. That was awesome. That was funny. That made me laugh so hard when I read that.
Absolutely. So how's things? How's life in Southern California?
You know what? We're actually all kind of a little under the weather this week. So they're a little blah, but the weather's cooling down, which is great. We are excited whenever we don't have to use the air conditioning all day long. So that is nice. And looking forward to Halloween.
Good stuff. Oh, yeah. The spooktacular is just around
this episode will probably come out right the day after Halloween, I think. But, spooky sounds.
Right, and that's as far as the because we're only 9 episodes old. That's as far as the budget goes for Halloween effects on the show.
Yeah. Sorry, don't have the soundboard going right now. But anyway, on to the important stuff. The reason people actually tune in this week, we wanted to talk about AI and SEO. Just a very kind of general kind of overlook of things, kind of some ideas and what we're doing, what we're not doing. What we expect, you know what I mean? This is an endless topic, but it's definitely a hot topic right now. If you don't mind, Pete, I'll start a little bit and just
go for it.
I have been a little I've got my my caution, like my blinders up or whatever to AI, not blinders. I'm cautionary about using AI too much, just because I'm worried about the potential negative ramifications. But it's here. It's going to stay. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So now I think it's the time to, figure out how it's best to be used, what's appropriate, what's not. My kind of general sense is that it's a great tool. I don't ever want it, and I hope it doesn't become a complete content generation thing. I mean, that's my big fear about it, is that everybody just clicks a button and they expect to get content out of it. Whether that's, bigger than just SEO. We're talking movies or all that stuff. It's a big hot topic right now. But yeah, that's my kind of fear about it. And I hope that never becomes a thing. But at the same time, if we could use it, if it's benefit to it, that's awesome.
Absolutely. I think like with a lot of these things, the first sort of hurdle with AI is understanding what the different models of AI do, and actually realizing that all of this stuff's kind of been branded as, you use AI for SEO. Well, actually, you know what? There's a whole load of different AI tools out there. By far the two biggest that we use regularly would be ChatGPT and Google Bard. But even just using those two, they're built in different ways, they excel at different things, and they process data in different ways. And at the time of recording, the ChatGPT database is still only limited to September 2021. So, even the fact that Bard can just read something that was put on the internet yesterday makes it different to to ChatGPT in that respect as well.
I'm glad
So,
you said different and not better.
oh yeah, no, it's different because they are very much. It's about understanding the right tools for the right job. And look, I know from the discussions we've had, and from even just the little pre-chat that we had about this, we don't ever supply AI generated content to our clients. I don't do that through my agency. We don't do that through SEO Hive. That is not an internet that is going to be generated by bots isn't going to be a fun place for anybody else to be. I mean, that's,
No.
I think that's the honest truth. And these tools learn by repetition, so essentially they're going to end up iterating on themselves, and goodness knows where we're going to end up if that sort of happens in a world where you've got AI bots completing things like brain surgery and robotic development and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thankfully we don't work in kind of one of those life or death kind of industries. But there is a moral and an ethical consideration to that, which is, our clients pay money for properly optimized content that is tailored to the specific needs of their clients. And because of that, we can't justifiably let an AI bot just run wild and just generate something that it thinks is good. We need that squidgy organic understanding that you can't ever get into something like ChatGPT or Bard.
Yeah. There's a good chance that let's just say we're talking about spitting out an article, right? There's a good chance that AI could spit an article that's fine. But I could tell you from firsthand experience, just a couple of days ago, I was Googling something. I was looking for some snippet or process to go through something in WordPress. And I found an article from, I believe it was a website that I've seen before too. So I know that they've written, little helpful WordPress tutorials or whatever. And I got to step 4 and I realized step 4 was the same as step 2. I was, wait a second. So I just had to step back and I just read them all. Like I said, okay, let me jump forward. And I read the whole tutorial. And then there was just this flaw in the logic and it kept looping back to the beginning. And I'm like, I feel like I'm like a deprecated function right now that's just looping in the back end, just like trying to follow this tutorial. I'm like, it's friggin' written by AI. What the heck? I'm like, because I keep hearing people talk about how great Chat GPT is for finding out like code solutions and stuff. So I was like, I didn't even try it. I just Googled it, but they did that, and well, that didn't work out so well. So,
well,
careful.
Now you see. So this morning, I was using ChatGPT to fix an email template in Campaign Monitor that had 2 issues. One was there was a missing TD tag, and there were thousands of ruddy TD tags in that document, and ChatGPT found it in 5 seconds.
Nice.
And then the second thing was that we needed to put some rounded corners on an image, and that was fine in browsers, but chuck it into Outlook and it wasn't playing ball. And you needed to set this I forgot what it was called, V extend something or other. I don't know. Somebody who's far better at coding emailers than me will be able to tell me exactly what I needed. But I tell you what, ChatGPT spat the code out for that. I just gave it the TD element that had the image in and said, make this so that it works in Outlook. And hey presto, there it went and did it. So copied and pasted it in, ran a couple of tests, absolutely fine. So it's definitely got its place when it comes to certain things, absolutely. But generating content that is tailored for business needs, I don't think that's quite it. But I think in all honesty, I think we need to put a bit of a caveat in here, because like with a lot of the things that we've already spoken about in our previous extensive 8 episodes, there is a contextual element to this, which is, what, if you've got a website or your client has a website and they never post anything, then actually them using some AI support to get some content written, get it on their website, and for their website to become active is going to show them a benefit, right? That is far better than doing nothing. but that's not what people come to us for. That's I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that when people are engaging with SEO Hive, they are wanting a professional service that is going to take their clients' SEO or their own SEO to the next level, and that involves understanding user intent. It involves understanding business objectives. It involves understanding previous amounts of data in order to make decisions as to where to go forward. And that's the bit we're never going to put in the hands of AI.
yeah. And it can be good too, kind of on that same level though. And this is one thing I've used it for, is helping with, like, I guess I would call it supporting copy. This isn't copy that I'm worried about what's ranking, but just the kind of the blurbs you'd have, maybe asking somebody to opt into something or whatever. When I've had to, flesh out something and I've been writing it, I kind of hit a wall and just, writer's block or something. And I'm looking for like one sentence, right? And I've asked, Bertha, that's the one that I've used and have a subscription for or something. And I've just said, hey, just give me something. And that helps me get past that writer's block and go, okay, great. Now I can tweak it, and I've got my thought out. And so that's helped tremendously. But that's, very much just like a kind of like a call to action statement. It has nothing to do with SEO really, or any type of factual information. So like for me, that's a great use that I've used, but it's so small and so minor, but it can help tremendously.
Oh yeah, and when you get an SEO audit come in and it says that 432 meta descriptions are missing. Well, with the best will in the world, actually getting, as you say, getting that one sentence out of the gate, or even just being able to drop a URL into Bard and say, summarize this in a sentence, and that beginning to form a meta description for you is a far more effective use of time than it is to actually have to click on every page, read the page, understand what's in the page, write that into a meta description, realize that meta description's 30 characters too long, then have to edit and then have to do that 432 times. So there's like we said, we won't go and publish a piece of copy on the internet that is generated by AI. But on the same note, if we can use AI tools to speed up some of the processes and the data crunching and the information we need in order to make those decisions to then produce that content, then by all means, let's harness the power of AI. And I think that's why I'm maybe sit a little differently to a lot of the I've done shows in the admin bar and chats with other people about how we use AI, and I've always sat a little different to a lot of people because everybody jumps into ChatGPT. Now, granted, I have a ChatGPT account. It's even a ChatGPT Pro account. I'm not saying I'd never use it. I use ChatGPT to fix that email. But actually, I find that I'm using Google Bard a lot more because we're not relying on the writing capability. ChatGPT is a far better writing assistant than Bard is as it currently stands.
Gotcha.
But it has a limit to its knowledge, and it has a limit to it can't read the internet, which Bard can. So for the things I'm using it for, like finding common keywords or common associated keywords in the top 10 for websites that rank for a particular primary keyword, let's say, I can chuck that into Bard and it'll give me a list. And whether it's reviewing how many internal links the pages that are ranking on page 1 for a particular keyword are having. Again, it can just crunch it for me and give me the numbers. So, they're things that I have been able to find out through other tools in the past, but Bard can just do them within a few seconds and give me the data, rather than me spending 15, 20 minutes going to find it and calculating it myself. So because of that, I spend a lot more time in Bard than I do in ChatGPT personally. But that's just because they work differently. And as I said, it's horses for courses.
That's interesting. I need to play with Bard more. I really haven't messed with it too much, but I like the idea of being able to get, information like that. I pride myself a very good Googler. And so it's like hard for me to break out of like that habit, right? Like I don't try, if I ask somebody, if face to face, like, I mean, honestly, if I ask you something and then we get off the call, I'm still probably going to go Google it and like look at my own details on it. So like, this is a very hard pattern for me to break out of.
That was a very camp noise that I just made, but Jeffrey, honestly.
Well, no, that's just me. It's less about you than it is me. I'm trying to use you as an example to show how
Oh
strong
yeah,
that.
the whole "it's not you, it's me" speach. Here we go. Right,
Oh,
it's
you've heard that
taken
one
us.
before, have you, Pete?
It's taken us 9 episodes to get there, but here we go. I at least thought we'd get to double figures before we got there.
Are we having our first fight? Oh boy. Oh boy. What
Anyway,
is
sorry,
happening
you
here?
were making a point, and I completely trashed it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, yeah, that I kind of always, well, actually, I think I just got to the bottom of this too, is I fact check. And that's because I study journalism in college. So I'm like, oh, that's great information. I don't believe you. I need to fact check it. That's just kind of my default. That sounds too good to be true. Hold on a second. Google.
Oh, it is.
Turns out it is.
So
I have I've quite a few things. I'm stubborn. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a stubborn man. But there's quite a few things that I have said, like, this is the way it is, and like my kids have said, that's not true. That's not true. And then I Google it and I'm like, oh wow, for 40 plus years I was under the wrong understanding. And I just
but that is a key. You have got a key point there, which is anything that AI generates, you do have to fact check. And this is the problem. Again, I'm not wanting to get on the soapbox about people paying agencies for professional services, and therefore you should be doing things properly and not just trying to create shortcuts and this, that, and the other. But actually, you know what? If anybody that's doing this, like I've just said, if somebody's using AI and they're doing nothing and that helps them do something, there are still some gates they need to go through. Just copying and pasting it out of ChatGPT or wherever they've got it from onto their website isn't responsible, because you do have to fact check these things. If ChatGPT says black is black and white is white, you probably need to go and check that it hasn't said that black is white and white is black, if you see what I mean.
yeah.
It learns by repetition, and because of that, look, if you think about this in like the sense of it learning like by reading a map, the first time it makes a mistake, it might only be a degree off. But if you travel from where you are for 100 miles in that direction and you were a degree off to start with, you're going to end up a long way from where you wanted to be in 100 miles time. So that's and that's kind of the problem with it. You can't take these things as gospel. You can't take them for granted. A friend of mine, he talked about using the 80-20 rule with AI tools, but the 20, it is in that percentage. The 80% comes first. That's what the Chat GPT or the Bard or wherever you're getting it from, Bertha AI, whatever, that's what that gives you. You then have to do the 20% afterwards, which is the fact checking, making sure that the tonality is right, making sure that it fits your goals. So if you are going to use this kind of content for the backbone of your content, you've still got that 20% to do, and you can't really negate around that. Otherwise, the internet will just be full of incorrect AI content that then feeds more incorrect AI content, and before you know it, you're in, John O'Groats instead of Land's End. Sorry, that's a very British reference.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I'm sure a few of our listeners do.
Well, John O'Groats is the very northern tip of Scotland, and Land's End is the very end of Cornwall. So it's almost the most northerly and southerly points in the UK. That's
Gotcha. Well, just the other day, I had kind of an interesting experience, and you've been seeing AIs popping up in everywhere, not just the tools that we're using in agency world, but in like our day-to-day life. So I was posting something on eBay. I had something sitting around my office, and I said, I need to just get rid of that. So I posted on eBay, and then here comes a description. Well, first of all, if you use eBay these days, you realize most people barely put any sort of description, because the title and the picture and then the details, it's pretty much everything you need. But I saw this big button and it said use AI to craft a description, and I thought, well, if it's free, I'll click it and see what it does. Why not? I mean, you're not nickel and diming me for it. So
shiny thing syndrome.
Your API, he said, sure. So I click it, and it wrote a phenomenal, like 2-paragraph summary of this like little art paint set that I was selling. And it was fantastic, except the quantities of what it was included was completely off. It was like, and it gets 8 high quality paints. And I'm like, no, it's 12, and 3 mixing bottles. No, it's 4. I'm like, you have all this information right there. Like it's on, it's there. And how did you craft it and change the number? I don't know, but it did help me. Because like I said, 80-20, right?
Yeah.
80% of the difficulty in that for me is just writing those 4 or 5 sentences that sound natural, that tell people what they're getting and why they're supposed to buy it. And I read it and I quickly saw that the numbers were off. I fixed the numbers. Who cares? Still only took me about 1 minute to do this, which is faster. So it was, I love the 80-20 rule. If I get 80% of anything done and I can finish that last 20, like I'm satisfied. I mean, I guess unless I'm paying for 100%, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
So you're asking for help, but somebody can get you most of the way there. And you can't get yourself across the finish line. You got a bigger problem.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So here's the thing that I'm toying with at the minute, and for anybody that's listening, that's 20 odd minutes in with us, I'm going to burst the bubble straight away and say I don't have a solid answer to this next thing yet, and I'm still working through it. But that is it a good thing to let AI bots crawl your website? Because we can block them. We can block them like we can any bot through the robots file. But is that a good thing? And here's the fence that I'm sitting on. So we've just spent 5 minutes talking about how AI, if you leave AI to get on with its own thing, that it could end up in completely the wrong destination. Let's rerun that analogy using an American landmark. You'd end up in Manhattan instead of the Los Angeles. Let's say.
Yep. There you go.
So it can go off and it can get things wrong, and if it keeps on iterating on things that are wrong, then actually you're almost not helping it in the future. And a lot of these things, like with when WordPress was a thing, like when
WordPress was a thing.
When WordPress was a new thing, I should have said. WordPress is still a thing.
WordPress is still a thing, dude.
Welcome to the introduction to WordPress for Pete show. No, so when WordPress
change our name to the SEO show soon.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is, when WordPress was a new thing, and even now it's open source, it relies on people contributing to it. The leaps and bounds that it makes in order to make itself better are done because people contribute to it.
Yeah.
And blocking AI bots from your website is almost like saying, you know what, I don't want to be part of that. And if you're not prepared to potentially help make the AIs better, then realistically you can't complain that much about their output if it's not correct, because you can't take with one hand and not give with the other, kind of.
Yeah.
is my kind of approach to it. But then on the same note, I also stand with all of these artists and with these actors and people who are having their work either duplicated or obliterated, or their personalities completely compromised because AI is making babies with certain actors' faces on it say atrocious things or whatever. So I as I said, I don't know which side of the fence I come down on this yet. There are technical things that you need to bear in mind. If AI is going to become a next search engine, then by all means you want to be featuring in those results. However, letting the AI bots crawl your website puts particular load on the server, and we know from particular reports that you can find. Just Google it or ask an AI. Well, ask Bard for it. Don't bother asking ChatGPT. But you can, there are particular reports where they can see spikes in load, and where the load that's put on a server is far more than a Google crawl or anything like that, which of course can therefore affect users on the front end and slow your site down, etc., etc. So there's pros and cons to all of this, and at the minute I haven't yet decided where I stand with it.
Well, the crawling's interesting because nowadays I feel like the SEO crawlers that we're used to, we used to have to, as like a web developer or somebody, trying to keep a site up, you have to fight against them sometimes because they would just crush your site. And that's kind of, evened itself out. It doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. So I wonder if the AI bots are doing something different, or they're just a little behind the times from a technical standpoint. And if so, they should probably ask ChatGPT or Bard for some help in that area. But but I wonder if that'll improve. But it's funny you talking about the AI art and the artists, and I feel you too. It's just on one hand, if I didn't have to work for a living, I would sit in front of a prompt and I would just create AI art because I think it's so hilarious. Like all the time, just giving it a prompt and seeing the stuff it does, like super weird with like, and especially if you describe something weird, you'll have somebody with like an arm coming out of their head and you're just like, all right, Dolly's on some special drugs today in there, I guess. I don't know what's happening, but some it's very entertaining to me. But on the other hand, my daughter, she's 16 and she's a passionate artist. And she just, I mean, you see the flames coming out of her ears whenever AI comes up because she's just like, AI tripping off artists, AI tripping off artists. They shouldn't rip off artists. And it's and like, I love it. I respect the hell out of it, but it's just so funny every single time. So passionate about it. So passionate. So anyway, to get back to the topic about AI bots crawling your website, I don't have a strong feeling about this one way or the other either. I mean, you've got a lot more thoughts on it than I do, but I was thinking about the concern from a slightly different perspective, and that's like the information that you're letting the bots have. And obviously, if you put it on the website, it's public crawlable. It's not like you're putting up trade secrets or anything on there, but I guess, if it's being indexed in the search engines and you're being found for it, that's one thing. It's different if that information you put a lot of work into that might be unique to your business, and that this is going to be totally dependent on types of businesses and things like that. But if you're literally just helping the bot learn stuff, and then now that's going to detract from people going to you to learn that stuff, then that does seem detrimental to me. I don't know, that might be just a wacky hypothetical situation that I'm making up that would never actually be a problem, but that's where I instantly go. And it's like, do I want to protect that information or do I want to let the world have it? And yeah, I want the world to have it, but if you're a for-profit business online, you still have to take that into consideration.
I guess that sort of depends who you are and what it is you're talking about, though.
If you're a good person that likes to share, if you're a bad, stingy person like me.
No, that wasn't quite where I was going with it. But
okay.
Just, if you're, well, even though I think it largely depends on whether you're dealing with fact or whether you're dealing with opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. I saw this quote from Piers Morgan. He's been in the States. Yeah, you guys should know who Piers Morgan is. He's a journalist, and he said everybody's entitled to opinion, but people aren't entitled to make up facts. And I think that's kind of where we are with this. If what you're contributing or potentially contributing back to the AIs through the content you're creating on the internet. I'm not saying for 1 minute people should now start creating content to teach AIs. But if you're creating good, valuable content on the internet anyway, that should be factually correct. By allowing the bots to crawl that and potentially making them better because of those facts and the way that you're putting them and the way you're presenting them, that information. I mean, that doesn't really matter whether you're talking about molecular science or like, I can't think of something huge, but yeah, something huge. It's kind of, if it's a fact is a fact, and that is only going to improve their knowledge. Whereas on the flip side, if you're creating opinion pieces, of which I'm not going to give any examples because I don't want to offend anybody. But if you're creating opinion pieces and they are your opinions, then actually that isn't going to benefit anybody outside of your network, your niche, your whatever that you've put that opinion together for.
Yeah.
And that is the type of stuff that probably shouldn't be fed into something like an AI bot. So really it should only, I'm thinking out loud here, but in my opinion, possibly a better way for it to go is for it to be fed facts, truths that are universal versus and protected from opinion pieces which are not.
Yeah, and that could be pretty applicable to our industry here as agency owners and the type of clients we work with. Some of them are putting out, if you pay I don't know, somebody to come and do an analysis on your property. That is very much, here's the measurements, here's what, the values are compared to neighbors, blah, blah. Those are things that you can fact check. But if somebody is like a coach or consultant and they have their own style of training salespeople, that, who's to say that's right? It may be very good. It may work for them. It may that, but it's not one thing you can say that's right or that's wrong. And you can't train anything. And it's just one of the many, many, many opportunity or many options you have when you're going down this subjective path.
But so here's this then brings us nicely full circle. So maybe we're on our way into land right now. But so I saw a script which I have actually used. I might try and find the link and include it in the show notes. I'm not going to claim any kind of benefit or any kind of credit for this at all. But there was an SEO guy that I follow on Facebook, and he'd put together a prompt that you could feed into ChatGPT or Bard or one of them. Anyway, he put it together as a YouTube video. And basically what it did was it compiled a local SEO audit, a very basic local SEO audit for any business that you fed into it, so that agencies could use it as a sales tool to say, look, I've done a brief audit of your local SEO profile. Here it is attached. I do SEO and we think we could improve it in XYZ areas. Do you want a conversation? And this meant that from an SEO sales perspective, linking into what you were just saying, from an SEO sales perspective, rather than now having to go to all the lengths of, using putting these audits together yourself that might take you an hour, it's an investment in time for a very cold lead or exceptionally cold lead that you don't know, et cetera, you can now do dozens of these or get a VA to do them and essentially use Google Maps on Street View to go down a street and say, right, do one for that business, do one for that business, do one for that business, and just ping them off by email. So that, again, that's an innovative way of using it, of processing data that is factual information that could help somebody out, and certainly could help an agency in their sales process. I'm not saying we use that in our sales. We don't. And as I say, I'll find the link. It's, you go make your own judgment call whether you think it's a good thing or not. But I just thought it was an innovative way of using the AI to bridge that gap.
That's interesting. That was like, oh, what a good idea. I don't think I'm going to go hire a VA to start spamming all the businesses in my town, but it is interesting to see creative uses for all this stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, with all that, I imagine we could probably nerd out and try to come up with scary scenarios all day long. But I think we're going to probably wind this one down about AI. But this is a quickly growing and evolving topic, so I'm sure we will revisit it in the future, if not in a couple months, probably. But if you're watching this on YouTube, we would love to hear in the comments if you've got any fun uses or creative uses of AI that you're using now. If you have any fears, feel free to share your thoughts. I know this is a passionate topic for a lot of people, so I look, even just like standing on the outside, I look forward to seeing how it all evolves. As a business owner, having to deal with it, I'm also excited and nervous, but you know what I mean. I'm a nerd. I love technology. I love watching this stuff evolve. So it's been pretty exciting.
No, I'm with you. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts, so if you think we've missed anything,
we did.
We definitely did. Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie, we did.
But if you think we missed anything, or if you've got a different standpoint from the ethical point of views that we've talked about, I'd love to. I'm not for 1 second saying that this is an episode where we're saying we're right, this is the way it should be, that's the way it should be. And that's part of the beauty of this thing, and part of the beauty of being involved in the discussion of something that is this new is the fact that we can have these discussions and have them openly and have different opinions that we can respect.
Yeah. And I don't know if this discussion is going to lead to the evolution of AI, but discussions like these do. So let's keep having them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, this has been a blast, mate. And if it's all right with you, we'll do another one next week.
Sure. I guess. I mean, we should probably hit 10.
We can't get to 9. I mean, gee, it would be like stopping at episode 99.
It would just feel wrong. So no, we're not going anywhere. We're loving this. We're getting a lot of good feedback. So thank you for everybody, and keep it coming because it boosts our egos.
Well, it boosts yours.
It boosts mine. I'm the egotistical one.
All right, laters, everybody. Have a good one.
So yeah.
The WP SEO Show is brought to you by SEO Hive, your agency's proactive white label SEO partner. We understand that finding a reliable SEO supplier is key to ensuring you build stable monthly recurring revenue into your digital agency. At SEO Hive, we have a suite of products that will help you sell, scale and deliver your monthly SEO retainers, from our scout reports and one-off technical boosters, to our flagship local SEO and honeypot plans, all of which have clear pricing and monthly deliverables. If you want to explore how SEO Hive can help your agency deliver high-quality and reliable SEO agreements for your clients, you can find more information at seohive.co and schedule a call to discuss the next steps.